Hi Year 9, this is an introduction to your second harmony task. Last week you had a go at harmonising a simple melody of 8 bars in C major with root position chords. This week we're going to go a little bit further, and I'm going to also set some extension tasks for those of you that want to have a go. So this week we have the piece of music Sky Boat Song, Speed Bonnie Lass, that goes da 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 dum da 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 dum, and then we go off into the minor da 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 da. Then we have the recapitulation, which is just a recap of that first section. So the music goes in 4-bar phrases. We have a 4-bar phrase, which goes A, A. Then we have a new 4-bar phrase that's B, B, and they're in the relative minor. And then a recapitulation of A, A, which creates a form of ternary form. Now I'm just going to add something that I haven't put in, which is actually a key signature of F major. Oh no, sorry, no, I'm lying. That's not an F major at all. We are in C major. And when we come to this B section, we actually go to A minor, which is the relative minor. If you know your theory about going from a major to a minor, we go down 3 semitones, okay? So if we want to harmonise this melody, you'll see already that the time signature is different to the one last week. Last week we had a piece that was in 4/4. This week we have a piece that is in 6/8. Now, if the piece is in 6/8, that means that we're in compound time. 4/4 means 4 crotchets in a bar. 6/8 means 6 quavers in a bar. But we group those quavers in groups of 3. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So the stress comes on 1 and 4 of the quavers, creating a feeling of a dotted crotchet beat. 2 dotted crotchets per bar, i.e. 3 quavers, 3 quavers. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Hence, we might need to harmonise some of this melody with dotted crotchets rather than the dotted minim that would complete a whole bar. So I'm just going to show you this first bar. In the music we have G, A, G, C, C. Now if we look at that first chord, first bar, we're probably going to need 2 chords to harmonise that bar. So the first thing we do is like we did last week, is write out our scale of C major. So we have C, D, E, F, G, A, and B. And then underneath that, I'm going to add the degrees of the scale in Roman numerals. So I'm going to write 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7 with a little circle. Now the reason I'm doing this is for some of you I've asked you to label your harmonies with the Roman numerals so we can tell what chord it is in that key. So can you see that chord 1, 4 and 5 are in the larger letters, which means they are major chords. 2, 3, 6 are smaller letters, it's lowercase, so they are minor chords, and 7 is a diminished chord, okay? Now when we actually put those chords above, the notes above in those chords, we'll be able to see that more apparently. So the third of the chord will be an E, C, D, E. We're going to start the scale of C major and go up from E. So we're going to go E, F, G, A, B, C and D. Can you see that there? So now we have the third of each of those chords, and then we need the fifth of each chord, which is going to be C, D, E, F, G. And then we start the scale from G and we go up through the scale. Now we have each of the notes in those chords. So C major has C, E and G in it. D minor has D, F, A. E minor has E, G, B. F major has F, A, C. G major has G, B, D. A minor has A, C, E, and B diminished, which is built up of all minor thirds, has B, D and F in it. Now that should help us to harmonise the melody. So let's look at the first bar. So we said we've got G, A, G, C, C. Now if I think about G, that's the strong beat of the bar, isn't it? The A is actually what we call a passing note because it's on one of the weak beats. So we're not going to worry about that. We're going to go with the G and we're going to think, right, okay, well, let's try chord 5 because the options are either chord 5 or chord 3. And I think because the G is the first note, we'll probably go for chord 5, which is a more dominant chord than chord 3 anyway. So we're going to put a chord of G, and I'm going to get my dotted crotchet. Try and show my keypad there. Here we go. So we're going to take the dotted, oh, that's not very good. We're going to take this dotted crotchet. We're going to take a crotchet and the dot. Crotchet and the dot from down here. I'll just show you that highlighted. Crotchet and the dot. And then we're going to put that in on a chord of C major on the first bar. So I'll just show you that as well. C, E and G. And there I have my first chord of G major we're going to put in, weren't we? Silly sound say. So a chord of G major. There we go. Finally. Right. Okay, so there's your G major chord, all right? Now, the next chord has got a C, well, the melody's got 2 C's. So let's try a C major chord, because we could either have C major or A minor. If we look at our chords on here, look, can you see? C major or A minor would be the options, or possibly F as well. But let's try C to start with and see what you think. So we're going to play this, see if you can hear this. We've got... So it doesn't sound half bad. I think that's okay. Now, of course, trial and error is great in music, and you want to listen to it, because it's all very well doing things theoretically, but actually listening is the most important part of the music. So try that second chord with an A minor chord or an F major chord and see which one you like the sound of the best, okay? Now, you could carry on harmonising those first 8 bars. That's the main bulk of the task. That's what I want everybody to have completed. So up to bar 8, I want to make sure that you've harmonised with root position chords from your chart. Make sure that they match the melody, the main notes of the melody, and make sure they sound correct, okay? That's the first task. Now, there are some extension tasks, because I'm well aware that some of you have done lots of theory already and done lots of composition as well, so you're quite advanced in that way, and I want to make sure you're challenged. So the second job for you is to think about inverting the chords, okay? So if we're talking about an inversion, we are basically looking at, for example, a C major chord, has the notes C, E and G in it. Now, say that they're in a different order. Say the E was at the bottom of the chord. That doesn't mean to say that if it's got a C, E and G in it, but the E's at the bottom, it's not a C major chord. It's still a C major chord with C, E and G in it, but it's just the E is at the bottom. So we call that a first inversion chord, because this is the root position chord, and this is the first inversion chord, okay? Now, of course, if we've got all of those notes again in a chord and we've just got the G at the bottom of the chord, we would call that a second inversion chord. So let's think about an F major chord. Say the notes of an F major chord, F, A and C, are in that order and the F's at the bottom. That's a root position F major chord. Say we've got an F, A and a C, but the A is at the base. We call that a first inversion chord of F major, and so on and so forth. So what I would like you to do, as a challenge for those extra super composers, is to try and invert the chords in your piece of music to make it slightly more fluent as a harmonisation. So for example, say you've got a chord of G major, G, B, D in its root position, and you think, okay, well, I'd like to make that more fluent. I'm going to keep this G because it's consistent to a G major chord and a C major chord. It's the same note, isn't it? So I can change the B and the D to a C and an E, and my G major chord, G, B, D, has altered to a C major chord just by changing the 2 notes, changing the B to a C and the D to an E. So now I've got a C major chord with a G, a C and an E. The G is at the base, so if you think about it, C, E, G, that's a second inversion chord of C major. But it just makes a nice fluent sound from G major to C, rather than going G, B, D, C, E, G. We go G, B, D, G, C, E. So it's just making a nice fluent sound. So try and think about inverting the chords to create a more fluent accompaniment. Now, there's another couple of extension tasks for those that really want to push yourself. Do you remember we said that the B section goes to the relative minor? So we're in C major, and then bar 9 modulates to A minor, okay? So what you could try and do is carry on and harmonise that minor section as well as an extra task. And you'll see the last 8 bars are just, as we said, a recapitulation of the first 8 bars, so you can copy and paste the first 8 bars into the last 8 bars and you'll have a complete piece. And then there is one other extension task, and that is to try and write a counter melody. So you could add an instrument on Sibelius, press I as a shortcut, and add an instrument, a melodic instrument, and one line, probably a treble clef instrument, and then try and write a melody, a counter melody, a descant type that goes something like da 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 da. So some kind of counter melody. Have a go at that. So the tasks are, the first and foremost, everybody needs to complete the first 8 bars with root position chords, and then the second task, and also to label them with Roman numerals. The second task will be to continue looking at the inversions of those chords, so making a nice fluid accompaniment. The third task will be to carry on and complete the next 8 bars, and then obviously the final 8 bars just copying and pasting. So going to the relative minor A minor, so complete the whole of those 24 bars. And then final extension task for really pushing yourself and challenging yourself is to write a counter melody with an extra instrument on top. Okay, so now please do not stress about this. The most basic task is those 8 bars, and I will be very happy to receive those 8 bars from all of you. But if you do feel that you want to be challenged, which I know there's lots of you that are super duper musicians already, they've done lots and lots of theory and composition, I really do want to make sure that you are being challenged and learning well at home as well in this funny time of isolation. Okay guys, so as well as that harmonisation task that I've set today, I've also set you an elements of music lesson, which is on texture, how to think about it then, and then also you are to continue practicing your instruments each day for about 15 minutes. All right, super. I'll speak to you soon. Take care. Bye bye.